Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with another episode of me playing Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 9.11, and of course we're playing as Germany this episode. Yay! Lots of people like these. That's very good. Another hopefully quick note is I'm getting more reports, a few directly to me, but also seeing other YouTubers, that YouTube's notification system of various types, whether it be the actual you hit the bell and it's supposed to send you an email and it's supposed to, let you know that, hey, there's new content, and the little notification symbols and all that stuff, that's not working right now, or working well. Sometimes hours late, sometimes not happening at all for some people that are subscribed, but also just even, I've noticed sometimes when I release a video, it's sometimes taken a while for it to officially show up for me, though I've noticed some other people viewing it, and it's really sort of strange. So if you want to make sure you're getting my content notified when it comes out, follow me on Twitter, because I know it's Twitter, but if you follow me on Twitter, you can check that, and it will not only have notification, it will have a direct link to the video, so you can, which will obviously open up a window and whatnot, and you can go directly through to YouTube and watch it if you like there, or however, just if you want to keep notified. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Love to see you around more often. Okay, let's continue this. Like I say, quick note. It does seem like YouTube is at war with YouTubers. They recently removed my or what to watch next, and I went around and looked at a few other channels, and I think they did that to everybody for subscribers. What to watch next, one sort of big, and then 3 other things with no notification. And so, the president, we've heard you, that we understand our worst thing is we're doing is lack of communication, so we're going to communicate starting now. Poof, that goes away, and I'm wondering if there's a bug or problem, so I've changed the layout because of that a little bit. Counted on that for with subscribers as being those of you who subscribe would know where to come to get the most important or useful to you what to watch next for my channel. Okay, fighter pilot school was designated. Okay, yes, great. Seems like we're getting it early. Okay, 43. Money, metal, supplies, yes. Officers, grain, yes. Manpower. We'll take it. We'll take it. Still hovering about 101% there. Officers, but more officers, useful. And going through here. Added some more coastal submarines, some regular submarines, more convoys and escorts, and some light infantry divisions. I like those light infantry divisions. Jaeger School 5. Also, okay, well, we'll take it. I don't know if it's meant to be happening this early. This is, I thought was interesting. Movie called D388, basically D388 is my understanding, Roman numerals for the group number or whatever, and Arabic numerals for the squadron or something, I forget. But it's a movie that shows the spirit of the Frontflieger combat pilots of World War I and how the young soldiers of our Luftwaffe should take an example of that. All Germans should see this movie, especially how valuable to our state. So, this is a movie, maybe Pilots of World War II should be, I don't know, and I wrote that, but it's almost watchable. Because I've tried a version with English subtitles, and I can do pretty well, just as I know you've commented recently, binged watched the series Babylon Berlin, all in German with English subtitles, and I had no problems with that. That was fun to watch. I really, really enjoyed that. So subtitles itself is not the problem, but it's almost watchable. The movie is almost watchable. It's I do believe it's up on YouTube if you want to see it, but recruit more pilots. Okay, we're now at 5:04, which yes is well under, but we're gonna wait until 16 more days or so, and then we are going to save the game, test experiment, removing all, sort of limitations to ICs. See how that works. That is another thing. In the previous episode, I talked about how mostly what I'm playing here is what you can play. Well, I've gone in and I've made and I posted it so that you can do it what I think is a fix. We will see. A part of the problem was, as I understand from the code, is that some of the German economic crisis events said if you own province X, don't do it. But if you don't own province X or whatever, do this thing. And what that was, happening was instead of having a year date on it, and so presumably, I don't know, I'm just going to guess, it was like either Amsterdam or Warsaw or something, and so they're having this bug, and a few of these people commented, and so it would see that, well, I don't know exactly, but it would see it, and then it would come along, and then the other thing would fire to remove it. So it was stuck in this weird sort of loop. Well, I've added a date check to a bunch of those stuff that I think should keep the things from firing and repeat firing. We will find out. Because we're going to be playing that. And, now, one of the people posted is still happening. Well, if it sort of gets into the save, and I don't exactly understand this, but once it's in the save, okay, we've got plenty of supplies now. That was another thing that we were massively down on. So I know that there's bunch, so we're probably going to have to readjust production, even though I've just done that. And yeah, let's just do this thing since we started the episode. Let's build some more close air support. From chatting and some of stuff, I'm thinking maybe my need more close air support. I'm going to try to use my air power better. I was disappointed. Well, normally I'm doing so well with my German armor that I sort of ignore the air power. Not that it wouldn't help or wouldn't be useful, just more things to manage. And I like to micromanage things, so it just gets overwhelming at times. Yeah, it's just a couple more of those guys. Some more bombers, some more. We got more fighters coming, a bunch more. These guys are going to come off here. A destroyer group or whatever. Well, let's go in and let's get 2 of these, yeah. One thing I'm looking at with these is trying to do a little better job at strategic bombing the Soviets to lower their national unity once the war starts as well. So that, and let's come here, and I really like these divisions. They're just so handy. Whether I'm sending them down into Africa to fight in the rugged terrain, fighting in the swamps, you know, the pre-pit marshes here or wherever. Jaeger units are just some of my faves. They're not war winners, meaning they don't automatically kick regular units' ass or anything like that, but they're just fairly cheap, all things considered, and rather useful for some things. And sticking them someplace like in Norway with rugged terrain, you know, they're not as expensive as in like long-term production. I should build some more mountain and paratroopers. But they will do that. Okay, the Nanjing Massacre. We've known already that they've taken Nanjing. Basically, I'm not going to go into too much detail. Is it partially because one of my videos got demonetized, and then it when I appealed it, it stayed demonetized way back when because of mentioning this. I don't know whether that's appeasement of China. But no, that'd be Japan because I'm blaming Japan. No, I don't know why, but the Nanjing Massacre. Basically, it's a multi-day murder party that Japan holds in Nanjing, and they just murder people, all kinds of people, huge numbers of people. So it's just sort of a murder party. And no, recently talked about you know, some of the stuff in Germany losing its honor in the Second World War, and I see it really lost its honor following Hitler, not necessarily the World War. It's following Hitler. Now Hitler caused the World War, so that's the point. What scares a lot of us that are outside, and I don't know, was the, if you will, mechanization of the Holocaust. That scares people, that this technology that should be making lives better created such a horror, because the Germans just did it so well. But yeah, no, all kinds of nations did horrible things. Some had some horrible things aren't necessarily crimes. Bombing cities to get at factories, like the U.S. did, I don't consider a war crime. It wasn't a war crime under the war at the time. I don't think it's a war crime now. Some people may consider it a war crime. That's fine. They can do that. But I'm not saying you should, especially if you're German, you should like what happened. No, not saying that at all. Just, I don't consider it a crime, but it had a purpose of fighting the war. The Nanjing murder parties really didn't. They were really much more just sort of a, yay, let's go murder a bunch of people. Okay, they've got enough destroyers, relatively speaking. Well, yeah, okay. They don't. Yeah, let's drop him here. Destroyers are better at submarine dealing with than those torpedo boats. And so, and of course the Soviets, God, they killed ultimately a lot more people, but and were very bad. So, no, Germany wasn't the worst killers. And whatnot. And it wasn't just the Axis. I still think it's terrible that they don't still equate communism with National Socialism in the scales of murders. They talk about how bad and evil and, ooh, you know, no swastikas on things. And it, you know, look, you can have the most anti-Hitler, anti-Nazi book, but you put Hitler and a swastika on the cover, and it sells. And the people who read it will get a very anti, you know, so it's not like you're promoting Nazism. I mean, trust me, there's, you know, a lot of books that are very anti-Nazi that have swastikas on the cover, or documentaries or movies or whatever, you know, that have swastikas on them. And, ooh, that's, you know, triggering bad, can't use that symbol, you know. But hey, hammer and sickle, no problem whatsoever. And, oh yeah, oh, a teacher of children in a school is a communist? Well, no problem, but hey, they're a Nazi. Oh, we've got to get rid of them. Not that I think they should be allowed to be Nazis. No, I think they should be gotten rid of if they're Nazis. I'm teaching children. I mean, you know, don't allow, you know, Nazis to teach children. I totally agree with that, but I also don't think you should allow communists to teach children either. Okay, we are massively overproducing, so we're going to go right down to the limit our needs, because I do want to have a bunch of supplies. Okay, good. Butcher, heavy cruiser coming up. Bismarck. And we're right at 504. Okay. Well, be somewhat realistic about this. Not that we have enough of these, but we've got some of those for now. I'm being very aware, if you've noticed, like all those light infantry divisions had no motorization, and a little motorization would be good for them. It just, I'm very aware of fuel, both in the aspects of how much overall fuel we will need at any one time, and also getting fuel to the front line. Because sometimes moving east, I've got units out there, divisions, that just can't move because of no fuel, and other ones that can because they don't require fuel. They still don't have any, but so I'm very sort of aware of that in my planning, and you should be too. Yeah, artillery, that's what we're missing. Just throwing some artillery there. So we do have some manpower issues, and seeing that, it's overtime, it's past time. Should have done it sometime before, but it was, and maybe it would help balance out things. It was this consumer goods during wartime situation, but we're going to right now flip it because that'll give us 10% more manpower. There are reasons, if you're willing. Whether they're good enough, but 10%, since because we could have done it in 36 overall this time, more manpower would be, well, if it was this number, it would be 70 more manpower. That's not quite the number that it would be, but still, it would be significantly more than we have. I just didn't want to pay this consumer goods, but we're going to do this now as well. Okay. And another infantry division. We're going to move just these three. We're going to have the turrets now in the actual production queue, or being produced in the queue. Okay, theoretical jet engines. Okay, well, we're still not yet to a positive, and that's more for other things, but we got that. Good. Let's see, do we have any? Oh yeah, we have a little bit of bonus for that one. We decide to. Not much, but some. airborne assault tactics. Let's check those guys out. Yeah, we'll let those go. Okay, well, now that we have the Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact, Lufthansa and Aeroflot agreed to receive regular air traffic between Berlin and Moscow from the 21st of January 1940. So, this is another event from George, 1941. So, with the, if you've watched Berlin Babylon, you know that, and I knew all this already, but that Germany, starting under the Weimar Republic, had a secret protocols with the Soviets dealing with training and developing, training of soldiers, airmen, developing new weapons secretly inside the Soviet Union. Because, and it obviously changes at different year dates, but there were inspection teams from the Allies, excuse me, traveling around Germany inspecting military bases. By 39, no, but before there were. So they had to sort of hide some of these developments. And some of the early bombers, these are mail planes. Yeah, mail planes. They're super fast mail planes for transporting mail. Yeah, but they have real slender holes designed. And since mail paper is sort of more bulky than it is heavy, wouldn't a larger hole on the airplane be a little better? But hey, that would be sort of the right size for carrying something dense and heavy, like a light load of bombs, like light bombers. So they were sort of, everybody knew that Germany was cheating. I don't know how, they knew how much it was cheating at different times. So that was all going on. And of course the Anti-Comintern Pact and general Nazi rhetoric against the Soviets did harm relations, but even during all of that, even before the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, but during all that, there was still trade between Germany and the Soviet Union, because Soviet Union was shut out of trade from most of the rest of the world, and Germany had things the Soviets needed, and the Soviets had primarily resources that the Germans needed. So that was going on, but it was still pretty sort of quietly done. But here they are. Now this is January 1940, so Poland's already gone. But this is getting officially, openly flying airplanes back and forth between us and the Soviet Unions. You can decide not to, but there's not a good reason not to do that. I just wonder how many people were traveling back and forth. Because air travel at the time was still fairly expensive, even more expensive than taking a train. And you say that, well, yeah, but see, taking the train, you gotta, over long distances. It's one thing between, cities in Germany or something that's sort of short, but between Berlin and Moscow, it takes days to get there. So you've got to feed people. You need some sort of, unless you're going super economy class type thing, you're going to need some place for people to sleep and all of that kind of thing, so that takes extra. We got through a lot of our reinforcements. Great. We'll expand back out. So, there is a very real cost to long distance travel on a train. And also, burning the coal, but coal is fairly cheap. But then you have all of the, crewmen that are, whether it's the guy shoveling the coal up front or the attendants in the train, running that train for days, paying them versus just a smaller crew to fly. So it's, but, so there's a real expense. I'm thinking from like Berlin to Moscow, not just from um, uh, Berlin to Munich even, or something. You know, that's a different kind of thing. So it's combination of expense and speed that they're wanting to get. Okay, global gain balance. So we've lost these effects, which make it or change things. This, I know from talking to them, is an attempt to deal with, especially later in the war, all of the bonuses that you get, because it was overwhelming, the situation. So, okay. Independent Herr Sturmgeschütz units. Yes. Not ready, but go on. Yes, we want these. We want some of those. And that will be very good. Lots of decisions to make here now. Okay. Annual espionage focus. I'm going to go over to extra spies. The 1% IC efficiency, industrial intel on other nations, not big deal. It'll be interesting once we're playing we could with other people, but you know, to some degree I'm already sort of knowing what land organization, army intelligence, land organization. Yeah, that looks good. I'm going to go with a 2% land organization increase. So we're going to do that. Economic boost. Because we've done all of our big long-term project things that need it, we're going to go short-term. So there's no, unless you really just need money badly, you want to go short-term boost. Now, I'm also going to go in here before we do any more of this and save this. Not just, I mean, I did the obviously first of the year or first of the month save. So let's do this. Just we want to do that. Okay. And let's do well, we can do the commando unit. Yes, another Brandenburger unit. And party rally, which will well, just doing that helped our various things. So I know I haven't done the national focus thing yet. Okay, we're back to high popularity. And I know we were at 650. Build Vomag. Vomag, to me, famous for building the armored half-tracks. Commissioned tank repairs and to build tank manufacture. Yes, we will take that. Now, we've saved it. So what we're going to come over here is we're going to go to war economy. And we're going to go to, well, I can't go to heavy industry. That war national unity isn't nuts. Okay. So, and oh, we need more consumer goods now because we have shifted over to that. Let's watch the calendar, click over for another day. Okay, now we're at 750. So now we're doing rather well. Of course, we have significant deficits here. Steel is probably short-term, at least the worst of them. And we can produce a whole lot more. Now what I want to do here is come over here and I want to do another national focus here. Okay. Normally by now I'm looking at some of these other things. The reason I'm considering this now is because we are somewhat behind, I think, in our needs. Science, well, we're doing fairly well. We've now gotten up to here and we got some more leadership to deal with. Health, education, revolt risks, price resources, that could be good, but I think we're going to wait on that. Z plan, obviously if we're going to do a naval, that's what you want to look at. Luftwaffe. %20 modifier to. Yeah, this is just getting a bit too low, I think is what we're going to do. We're going to do Das Heer, the army, as opposed to the Panzers. The big thing is the percent of the leadership. I was going to do another round of economics, which do a lot of economic growth, build new factories. But this will get us new factories, not ICs, but armaments factories that will make building of non-tank type units cheaper. So that should help. Even if it says lose, it's a gain. So we want to do that. Now that we've got oodles and oodles and oodles of, and oodle is an actual measurement. No, it isn't, but a production capability, we're going to produce some more stuff. So let's go in here. We are sort of manpower conscious, so well, okay, and pack artillery and reconnaissance cavalry. I know there's no anti-tank in that. I'm going to keep this focused on that. So we're going to build a couple of these, mainly because these take a long time to get through production. They just do. You can see that is going to be May. These are July, but that will help with that. Now, because of the manpower limitations, let's come up here and also do paratroopers. Since these are only 3,000 men, you normally do 2 of those. Let's see what we have here. Don't we have a airborne? We want to do that, and headquarters, I guess. I think that's it. Or nah, let's add reconnaissance motorcycles. They're airdroppable, so that will give it a little bit more. So another parachute division, which will help out. Again, those are a fairly long time to build. We're going to get those in production for later. Let's do a second one of those. Okay, so that's good for those. Get some sort of elite unit types going along. And now that we've done that, let's build some semi-motorized divisions here. Artillery is a lot faster than medium artillery, so we're going to use that. And we're going to use our hardness is going to come from these guys, I think. Yeah. Civilian transport. I think we will just borrow an HQ or an infantry one, and I'll add a moat or something after it. The title, be able to keep these well defined. Oh, and we need engineers because they're only speed 4. We'll need motorized engineers, so they're a bit more expensive there, of course. So these aren't cheap. But yeah, I think that's what we want to do. Let's build 3 of these guys. There we go. Not cheap. We're going to get some more fighters. That's good. Bunch of bombers coming. Well, let's get a couple of these guys. I don't do too many of those, but something like these are maybe good to stack with the close air support, just so that they're operating sort of as escort kind of role. Yeah, okay. It's just my personality. Well, in a way, I like multi-role things that can do everything. But sort of within this, I would just mostly gravitate to either doing fighters or doing like close air support. But that does sort of work. And let's throw in 2 more of these guys. I know we've gone over this already, but these guys are going to the bottom. Yeah, that looks good. There we go. We'll see how that builds out. Oh, we need to do this. And we need to do this. Oh, this is up even higher. Okay. Good. Still not meeting that number, but well. There we go. And since we have more leadership because of things, well, okay, we're in 1940 now, so let's look back structurally. Now we're going to start doing these guys, and I'm going to put both of these in because I don't want to miss those. And we want to form the 9th Panzer Division. Oh, okay, we're losing our Lick division. Oh well. That in the production queue, probably. Yeah. Ooh, that's going to be expensive. Move it to the top, though. But I want it. Yeah, that'll be a good division. Full Panzer Regiment and a full Schutz Regiment infantry instead of just a, support unit battalion. And of course, we are also, well, we're going to need to sell supplies. Okay, let's see if we can buy rare materials from the Soviets. They've got a lot. Yeah, that looks good. Let's do that. Okay, False Nest. At the start of the Western European campaign in 1940, the False Nest, Rocky Erie was the code name, like Bird's Nest or something, I presume. Okay, build it. Supplies, manpower. The manpower is no problem. ICs 5 until February 3rd, 5%. Okay. You got me to build it. And we got another HQ. Let's give it some sort of somebody to command that. No, not Clink. Maybe we should have Clink commanding it. We'll do him. And probably down here quite a ways. See if we can see it here quickly. Hitler. There we go. And we have... Ooh, that looks pretty good, actually. Under one version of Von Hippel. I rate them higher than they do. And again, guys, whether revolverheld, who I think is likely watching this, or Dusty or somebody else who may be watching, this division should have a regular infantry brigade as well. It's not that good of a division. It's a police unit, or it's made up of police officers. But these guys are actually also like reserve military guys, and they've gone through training. So it should have a regular brigade plus this police presence as well for anti-occupation duties. So yes, the Polizei division should be better off. Okay. Okay. National recruiting policy. Oh. Ooh. Oh, we're gonna. We've had that NPR problem before. Yeah, this. Not selected happened to us before. We want that. Because then I want to select this to have that go away. Because if I selected this before that's happened, sometimes that still happened. We want a balanced approach. Okay. Mechanical computing, advanced, good. That's more the Zeus type stuff. And then electric IBM type stuff. Okay. Well, we'll get another bonus, but that doesn't even us back out. And refitting these guys out. I'm going no need again. I think it's going to put stuff into our production queue, and it takes too long, costs too much. Okay, yes, now we've lost these effects, so that's good. I know it's all in red there, but it's actually a good thing. Okay, okay, so how far down? Okay, yeah, it looks good. I think that'll click back up once we get another day going. Yes. We've lost. We're going to. That actually gains us manufacturing plants. Don't pay attention to lose. But we will lose the 4-year plan effect. So that's gone. So what that means is we can get rid of him as our planning of economies. And where is he? Where is he? Oh, there he is. Fritz Todt. ICs plus 5%. Resources plus 5%. We've got that. Now let's look about here. Consumer goods. We want to leave him until we get to war. This guy, we want to replace him. We now have more choices. Yodel, starting experience, stack reinforcement chance, organization gain rate. I think that's who we're going to go. Combat movement speed, attack reinforcement, organization 10%, 25% free gain rate, partisan efficiency. I think we're going to go with back. I like that combat move. We're going to go with back. I mean, it's a really, between these two, between Yodel and back, it's very close. Brow Hitch, I think, is our best shot for... Definitely don't want Hitler. Control Freak. And their land organization, but land organization is higher under Keitel, but your regain rate is slower. So your maxes are higher, but the time it gets up there is slower. Where here, you have more supply consumption because he's, you know, a motorized move kind of thing. So you get the increased speed, but it costs more supplies. Organizational regain rate is improved, and armor practical decay is not, or is very low. So we build more armor units more efficiently. He's the best choice for air power. The only other reasonably good choice here would be Donuts, but he's not available yet. Okay. Joseph Goebbels. We're leaving him in that job. A little bit gamey. We're going to move from Frick. We're going to move over to, I think, if you were doing a lot of intel, he's pretty good. Obviously, you see land, naval, and political intel because he is the head of the SD. But Himmler, which obviously is his boss, Schellenberg is here for once he dies, gets killed, if he gets killed. We get the national manpower, lose some ICs for, you know, combination of primarily, I would say, the death camp kind of industry that he'll be putting in, but also some of the other Nazi whatnots that he's supporting. Ruling party support is sort of, and which you get with the SS guys in charge, is sort of the lack of or people's feeling a lack of support of having, you know, the SS running around in, you know, their black trench coat, spying on everybody, and everybody not liking it. Not that they are going to revolt because of it, but you know, it just reduces party support. It's not the positive face. You know, cops are great people, at least for the most part in my experience. I've known many. Trust me, I've known many and all, but still when I see in my rear view mirror, I get nervous. You know, am I driving the right speed limit? Am I signaling? You know, and yes, if you're a minority in America, there are reasons to be more concerned. Though it's not, if you're outside the U.S., it's probably not as bad as you're thinking. The reason you may hear lots of stats and see a lot of stats is because there's a lot of crime in black neighborhoods, and it's still black police officers. The stats show are just about equally pulling over black people. You know, it's because it's just the situation, not really racism, but you know, so you don't like to see a police officer in your rear view mirror, even if you like the police. So it's sort of that kind of thing, as opposed to having, well, he is Minister of the Interior, so that isn't necessarily, but you could put like Canaris, which hurts leadership, but which we don't want to do, but doesn't harm party support. So ruling party support is down, but industrial intel is up, and manpower, and I do believe there will be some other events that check to see if he is in that slot later on, especially for foreign volunteers to the SS kind of thing. So we're promoting him up. As soon as we go to war, we're going to replace Naruth. So now we give them energy. Sure. Right now we're back up because we've switched around some things. We're no longer that 7, whatever. Changing a bit more. Okay, medium velocity guns have advanced. Great. But it was also great. We're going to stop that. Okay, so a high explosive anti-tank. And so high explosive anti-tank. For the anti-tank thing. Oh, here. Okay, that's still a little too far out for January 40, but we can do the short barrel gun. That going forward there. So my current plan is to wait till spring, and we're going to do a very fast, again, take down of Poland, shift forces, and take down the West. Hitler wanted to, once Poland was done, wanted to immediately go after the West, but the German army just wasn't ready yet, one, and two, the weather just wasn't very good for the campaigning. So, not saying the weather would be, we give them money in exchange for metal, sure. I would back up, shifting around a little bit more. Okay, supply production has advanced. Great. We'll stop that and now we get back down to using everything efficiently. So how interesting. Poland is sort of worried about invasion from Hungary, but not from Slovakia. Okay. Now coal. Well, we could expand our coal, and that is a real possibility, but let's look at buying some coal. How are the Soviets doing for coal? They got a big surplus, so let's buy some coal. Let's just go with 50. We still haven't gotten that Swedish. And minor breakthrough, cool. Haven't gotten the Swedish diplomatic thing yet. Okay, well, we're down to 41 now. Yeah, I think I may fire once the war starts. Okay, the first anti-Nazi comedy type movie came out. You Nazi Spy debuts. The Three Stooges have, despite pressure, not to have made the movie You Nazi Spy. The film satirizes the Nazis and the Third Reich and makes the Nazi threat to the United States is still neutral about World War II, and isolationist sentiment is prevalent among the public. Friendly isolationists, senators such as Burton Wheeler and Gerald Nye, which know the Third Reich only wants peace, objected to Hollywood films on the ground that they were anti-Nazi propaganda vehicles designed to mobilize the American opinion for war. If this is not stopped, there could be more. So, yeah, I think you can find at least a shortened version of it on YouTube if you want to watch it. So this hurts our relation with the U.S. Okay, let's look at politics here. So we have war economy, massive education, invention. That's good. Something else I'm forgetting to do, I think. Now we have a lot of, well, some, the Fuhrer headquarters, building arms factories, Soviet agreement, but isn't there something else that could be changing? Where do I want to go? But we don't have enough national unity either. Okay. Well. Yes, we've lost the four-year plan, which really does suck for losing a bunch of. Ooh, a major breakthrough. Wow, we're going to get a big jump. And with that, oh no, I want to make sure we didn't push things either too far or something. Okay. Maybe I should just let these guys stationed here. I'll send that cavalry division back. We're going to put in charge of it, not naring. We're going to find Bond something or Ritter something, or that would be a good sort of aristocratic type. Cavalry guy, yeah, this guy. So like I was saying, Hitler really wanted to immediately go and attack the West before the West was ready for it, but Germany just wasn't. So we're not making that mistake. We don't have to make every single mistake the Nazis made. And that's just sort of how I feel about these kind of things. But that doesn't mean I want to play something that's so, you know, historically unplausible kind of thing. There's a big difference between, you know, I think this is the last guy. We are going to be moving over there before we connect territories. Playing something that's so unplausible to versus just something going off the script a little bit from history. Okay, education advancement. Great. That's under national. Yeah, good. There we go. That may be what I was trying to think of. Industrial zone there. Okay, and electronic computing. That will also help our leadership starting the next day. And get across the rivers faster. Military police, well. And since it's the next day, I guess we have jumped up a bit, just a bit, in leadership as well. And we'll go with Seoul. Okay, form the, what is that? That would be the 39th Army Corps. Yes, that's sort of why we're still pumping out a lot of officers. Okay, the 1940, the Fourth International Winter Sports Watch, happened during the war. Notice the participants are down a lot more than before. So we still yet to invade some of these countries, you know, like Yugoslavia. So they participated. So yep, good. Or we can decide not to. We'll spend the supplies. Lose the descent though we didn't have any. And okay, the what's that? The 42nd Army Corps and the 8th or 28th Army or 38th Army Corps. Losing a lot of officers. Good thing we're pumping them out. Keep that in mind. We're already down to 1.6. We have been up at 1.8. Not that you shouldn't. It's not a complaint. It's just observation. Okay, Slovak factories. January 31st, 1940, Germany and the Slovak state signed an agreement on a war economy. The Slovak factories will be working for the war effort. Okay, Slovakia was ultimately a very big disappointment to Germany. They really thought they were going to get a good deal out of Slovakia. Germany had generally respect for the Czech army, and that's what they thought they were going to get with Slovakia. But unfortunately, the Czech army was Czech focused. Most of the officers and NCOs were Czechs. I do think that they're, whether you want to do national loyalty situations or just ethnocentrism, if you will, because I don't think it's racism. I think it's just, hey, we're Czechs. We speak Czech. We're Czechs. We're going to promote other Czechs to, you know, being, you know, NCOs or being officers. And it takes a longer time to build a good NCO corps than it does to build a good officer corps. Both take time. And the Slovaks didn't, I mean, I'm sure you can find examples, and there were, I'm sure, of Czech officers and, Slovak officers and NCOs in the Czech army. But they were a minority. So the army wasn't nearly as good as the Germans thought they were going to have. They thought they were going to have a smaller version of the Czech army, but it turned out to be nowhere near as good. The Germans, through the period, tried to train up and improve the Czechs' military capabilities, but it just didn't work out. They were also somewhat of a disappointment on the manufacturing level. The Germans were sort of aware of that before the war starts, because they know where the factories are, and most of the factories are in the Czech regions. But still, this gets us a little bit of gain in research, which is nice. But it costs us some money and supplies to do so. A lot of it really did actually come down, which I guess I could simulate by more manpower, but of agricultural research or agricultural support as well. Okay, the 8th Wella, yes. And let's... I like these in that you can be up close and see the symbol, but if you're sort of wondering what type of unit are, just zoom out a bit and you'll see that they are infantry divisions or whatever. Similarly for with a army unit. Yes. Oh, we lost high popularity, damn. So you can see here as we zoom out, it's light armor, we know. Okay, German-Soviet Commercial Agreement, 1940. Okay, we can continue the deal, which will cost us some resources. I mean, our ICs, but we'll gain some, and money and supplies, but we'll gain oil and rare materials, which will really help us out. So we will do that. And now, okay, we're still 60-40. Territorial pride, national revolt risk, supplies, daily descent, party support. Now, we'll go with illegal printing. Because we're getting ready for the war, so we don't want to lose that. And we don't have that big of a revolt problem. We have some of a revolt problem, but I think that just sort of shot up there. Ouch. Yeah, that took a big chunk out. Okay, Leibstandarte detachment to the 227th Infantry Division. Good. That's in the production queue, I guess. No, it isn't. It's on the map. It must be. Not here. Oh, here it is. Just down the bottom. Okay, cool. So, do we like this guy as commanding it? No, we don't. Oh yes, another one of these. Another reserve division. Herzat's division. We'll form the division, yes. And this is one that will upgrade over time, so be aware of that. Either don't spend, don't lose it, don't spend money on, we'll go down to a level 2 guy, because we're going to keep him as a reserve. You'll get better versions later on. Okay, yes, we get the Winter Olympics. Great. Great, great, great. So improve our relations with lots of people. See, Germany's peaceful. We didn't go to war. You just thought we were going to go to war. Now we're back to high popularity. Good. Okay. Kampfflieger, Schulen 3 and 4. Great. Oh, good. More officers. We could use that. No, not that important at all from you guys. Alright, I know we're still massively in. Okay, I'm 41. No, I have to help them. Okay. Okay, we've got to get through this winter here. Okay, Frederick Fritz Desquines, agent. Mein Führer, we have the opportunity to plant one of our agents in the United States for the purpose of gathering military intelligence. Historically, even before the war, large Nazi spy ring was found operating in the United States. Desquines spy ring was eventually comprised 33 German agents, all of whom were placed in key jobs in the United States to get information that could be used in the event of war to carry out acts of sabotage. One man opened a restaurant and used the position to get information from his customers. Another one worked at an airline so he could report Allied shipping across the Atlantic Ocean. Still others in the ring worked as delivery men so they could deliver secret messages alongside normal messages. The ring was led by Captain Fritz, whatever. A South African Boer who spied for Germany in both wars, and is best known as the man who killed Kitchener after he was awarded the Iron Cross in his key role in the sabotage and sinking of the HMS Hampshire in 1916. So, Yes, we can do this. Espionage bonus. And yes, like that. And again, I think it doesn't have an image because I poked revolver held to get stuff early, so I'm pretty sure that's one of his. Okay, another yeah, Flieger Schule. Cool, more officers. Good. Now we need to get some more metal. Soviets. Steel, we want more. Nope. Oh, we're in Sweden. I wonder why they're saying no. Okay. Wish we get that Swedish steel effect. I think we should be having it. That would help considerably. Okay, land-based air warning radar has improved. Good. And we could do that. Yeah, we could. Look at some other things that maybe structurally we need to do more of first. Desert warfare equipment and Arctic warfare equipment. We definitely need to do those first. Okay, naval bomber prototypes. I think is grayed out, but let's just make sure. Yep. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, Bohemian and Marin is a magazine put out by Carl Frank Herman. You remember him from the SDP, the really nasty guy. He's now in charge of the SS in Bohemia and Moravia. So this is their sort of magazine they're putting out. They're trying a mixed program of trying to Germanify some of the Czechs, you know, culturally change them into Germans, but they also at some point are talking about eliminating through various means some of the other Czechs as well. Okay, the Hungarian government officially did not support Finland, but secretly started to search for ways of helping. In addition, non-governmental organizations began to organize support for Finland. Hungary helped Finland by giving monetary donations, armaments, and military volunteers. During the Winter War, around 25,000 Hungarian men applied to fight in Finland. The applications underwent strenuous selection process. Only applicants accepted were from unmarried men who already completed their obligatory military service and had no criminal record and were not communist sympathizers. Hungarian volunteer battalions formed on July 1940 and arrived after difficult travel routes in Finland a month later. Now, Revolver Held, if you're watching this sounds like a great event. You need to check to see if Finland's at war before you fire this out. And yes, I know I sort of screwed this up in a way because I haven't gone to war. So the Winter War sometimes happens late or not at all, or you know, you need to have a check there to see if Finland is at war with the Soviets. And since we have not yet triggered the war with Poland, which is sort of screwing these things up and delaying them, we're not getting a winter war at this time. Normally it will happen, but Okay, form the, what is it, 43rd or something? Get tired of counting all the exit in the title. Ah, 8th. The 3rd. Yeah. Yeah, we could have delayed it, yes, I know. Well, after Poland. This is supposed to be happening after Poland, before going into France, but still, these aren't showing up until July or later. I know that's what it says June now, but by the time it gets readjusted. I really think those kind of things should be changed to massive supply hits. Just because of this long lead time. Not that it didn't take time to reorganize the division, it did. But still. Agricultural advance. Or at least make it a lot more completed and still do a supply hit. Do it. Blitzkrieg Doctrine Advance. Okay. Okay, so we're 41 at that. Deep Battle Doctrine 1940s technology. Let's do that one. We still have more research. Okay. Oh, yeah, a little bit. Okay. And battle plan. Oh, good. This is... I don't know what's up with this division, why it's like this, but it is. Well, we'll put it over here. It has no reconnaissance, no anti-tank. Don't know if they just... Something about this division... I know it gets upgraded, that's part of the thing, but... Okay, tracks of suspension advance and allow us to get better tanks. Here, okay, so we've maxed out with that. Completely maxed out. Let's go medium armored designs. For us, Deutschland. Okay, Naring, you can have this division. Or this regiment. Yeah, let's give it to Marine Commando West, I guess. I don't know. Okay, yes, another Army Corps. We're getting lots of these guys, which is a good thing, but yeah, it's going to really making a lot of you know, through the system, HQs unnecessary. You were going to reduce down as well. Okay, superior firepower, great. Yeah. Okay, this is one I'm all in favor of. This one is fine and good, but what this one does here is allows you to this is to bring down the strength. This is to increase. If you wanted to increase the strength of these units, because this is sort of where they currently are, you could do that. But remember, what they are doing by increasing strength also means increasing the manpower that you're going to need and build costs. So do you really want stronger divisions? I mean, you go, oh, stronger divisions, yeah, but it's going to be at a cost. So that's why I don't normally do that to increase strength. But superior firepower, yeah, that's the good one. Small arms have advanced, great. You can see a lot of stuff has improved. That one grayed out. Nope, but we'll turn that one off. So, and of course, we just got superior firepower, which of course unlocks an additional brigade slot, which is most good. Let's increase our light armor designs as well. And probably another infantry tech here. Oh, tank radio communications, okay. Defects. Too many units to display properly, okay. Well, let's increase our... Yeah, heavy armor. We want Tiger someday. How is our production doing? Okay, I know some of these effects that are hitting up here. Soviet German building arms factories, mobilization HQ, yeah. Well, I know we're gonna get a bonus sometime, but I normally build more by now. Okay, let's look at these cities here where we can up it by 1 and have a multiplier in the city. Still. I definitely would have had these built by now. Passed, so... Okay, so we're going to take all of these guys, we're going to move them to the top. Gonna get them, might as well get them sooner because they build more. Or if you just get another infantry division now, well, yeah, not that it's unuseful, but it's... Yeah, we're going to upgrade. Not a multiplier. Okay, battleship crew training, good. Okay, let's come over to cruiser crew training. Okay, invest in our schools of war on the 1st of February 1940. I'll stop this because I don't want something popping up. Demonstration Division for Army Motorization is detached from the Panzertruppenschule Wunsdorf to form the Schule für Heeresmotorisation, School for Army Motorization. The establishment of the school underscored the growing importance of supply organization in the Wehrmacht. In particular, as the Wehrmacht conquered foreign countries and needed to supply units outside their traditional garrisons, Wehrkrest. Nevertheless, the German army never managed to streamline its supply chain organization and staff up to the end of the war significantly from the lack of supply centralization and over 1,000 types of transport vehicles, which made it near impossible to rationalize and the maintenance efforts of the supply units. And up to the end of the war, the German supply troops numbered up to 350,000 men and up to 20,000 officers. Okay, I've got a bunch to say about this, partially from recent readings I've been doing. I told you I've been reading The War in the West, The Rise of the German Army. And they talked about it there, and which I was sort of pleased that they talked about the von Schell plan, and talk about von Schell himself. And one thing in which is reminding me, I want to get his book, or a book based on him. See if I can. In that I already knew some of this stuff, but I learned a little bit more. Von Schell is a World War I officer, careerist, and sometime, I think around 1930, he goes to America. And actually lectures at, I think it's the U.S. Army College, the War College. And that's where a book based on his lectures is written by, put together by the college for the U.S. Army training purposes. That's the book I want to get. I'm going to have to look that up. Well, he comes back from all of this and seeing in America. They rattled off a bunch of stats, and I'm not good at remembering it, but I think it was 1 in 4 Americans has an automobile, or has access to an automobile, however they're putting it, rides in it, where it's like 1 in 100, it's like 1 motor vehicle per 4 Americans, or something like that, or it's 4 or 5. I think that's the way to put it. So there's 1/4. There's equal number of vehicles to 1/4 of the population in America. It is the most motorized society, basically in the world of any scale, and not just as in sheer numbers, but also in percentage. So it is the most. Where Italy has like 1 motor vehicle per 106 or some people, so that you just don't have, this is all like in 1939, 1936, or some sort of stats in that sort of period, or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm not good at remembering these kind of things. So something like that. And Germany, it's like 1 in 20, 1 in 16, somewhere in that kind of range. Motor vehicles to people. So there's a lot more than in Italy, for sure. But not nearly as much as you have, say, in Britain or even France. Germany's just not that motorized. Now, why is this important? Well, see all these guys standing around here? Well, no, I think they all are. Well, yeah, I think they all are Army. A lot of these guys are getting trained how to drive. I'm presuming. I don't know. Or had to be trained to drive. And we've talked a lot about the NSKK doing that in Germany. But there's just... And when guys went into the U.S. Army and were going to be truck drivers, they got trained how to drive a truck because they may not have known how to drive a truck, but they already knew how to drive a car. And that's, so truck driving was a skill that was not well known in Germany. There was, so on a mass scale. And they talked about in the book about how Mercedes, Auto Union, and what was the Italian company? I forget the Italian company. whoever, they were winning, the Grand Prix and whatnot in Europe, and so, but that was an elite motorsport. Where motorizing in the U.S., in Britain, was a much more common thing. In Germany, it just really wasn't. And for the invasion of Poland, it was on almost a spur of the moment, at least from the army's viewpoint. And so they weren't really prepared, and it was coming from a region of Germany where a lot of the divisions were called that had very little motorization. So huge numbers of vehicles broke down and just were unrepairable during the campaign. I'm not saying they were just like abandoned there, but they weren't repairable before the war stopped. They just did not have the abilities, whether it's the immediate use of spare parts, trained personnel, or whatever, to repair these vehicles. So they eventually, yeah, I'm pretty sure all of them got repaired, but they just were not capable of sustaining that. And that really sort of was a wake-up call to the Germans, that had it lasted another week or two, the motorization of the German army would have completely come to a standstill for the invasion of Poland. And so that means now that the Panzer tank may drive, but what's the good of a Panzer tank driving if the truck supplying the gasoline is not working? So it eventually grinds to a halt. Now, in Western Germany, you have a lot more motorization and infrastructure going on. And this is part of what, and I've read earlier about Italy, that right around 1940 they start to wake up to this and realize that if they want a motorized tank units and divisions, they need motorization, generally speaking, to have gas stations around, to have training. So they only then really start, Mussolini starts in 1940. I think, if I remember correctly from reading, now that's been more than a few years, that they, it's before the war starts for Italy, but they're sort of realizing that Italy is just not capable of motorization on a large scale. And they realize that it's not just building army trucks, it's building the nationally based infrastructure, and that includes training personnel, not just training like in a school to drive a military truck, but just the whole mindset of driving and being a mechanic and keeping cars operating and that kind of thing, that you need to motorize the society to be able to effectively have a motorized armed forces. Britain decides to go 100% armed motorization for its armed forces. No horse-drawn anythings, and that's basically true, at least for Britain. I'm not saying the Indian Army or some other forces don't have it. Now, that doesn't mean that all units in the British Army are fully motorized. That just means that they're not relying on horse transportation. So you may still have, especially out in its colonial empire, units that don't have trucks to everybody get on the trucks and get all your supplies and all your gas and everything go and be able to drive at a motorized speed. Now the BEF is that way, but that doesn't mean the whole army is. It just means that they're totally ruling out having any wagons towed by animals to support the army. They are motorized enough to do that, and they're also a smaller army than Germany or France. And so they are capable of doing that, and they do that very, very well, actually. The U.S. does it the best, of course. Germany, up until the end, relies heavily on horse transport for a lot of units and a lot of things. As the war goes on, it gets more motorized. But von Schell sees, and we've talked about this a little bit when the event comes up, and sees that this problem of all these different types of vehicles, and radically works to reduce the number of vehicles in production, and he does so quite efficiently. He sees that, and the Nazi government, and this is, people, fascists, throw fascism out there. Nazi government, up until this point, had absolutely no controls over motorization production, and it was sort of a free market capitalist situation. Sure, they were introducing the Volkswagen, just introducing the concept of it, which was going to be government sponsored and done. We've talked a lot about that already, of course, but that was going on. But they weren't telling Mercedes what to build. But with the shell plan, once that gets in effect, they do start to tell these companies what to build and reducing the types of transport. Again, they're not necessarily saying that they all have to be vans. No, you can have a van or a flatbed truck or other things, but they want the all the automotive elements of it, the engine, the transmission, the axles, the wheel, all of those kind of elements to all be the same. So replacement parts. So some may be a flatbed truck, some may be a delivery van kind of thing. So long as you're all producing automotively the same basic vehicle, and some obviously you can maybe have a longer or shorter length of vehicle or something just simply by extending the axle length, which is a different part, but still the hookups would be the same, and some of the other bases. So you could still do little range of customization within the shell plan, but it was basic automotive types. Now, as revolverheld is pointing out, there are still 1,000 types of transport vehicles. Well, that is because, one, they talked about this, a lot of the German military transport was basically civilian transport. If not in confiscating or otherwise acquiring local German civilian units, they were buying just civilian models. And they found out that, well, they may have already known, but a lot of these trucks that they were driving into Poland just fell apart because of the terrain, partially because of the bad drivers changing gears. I'm no good at a stick shift. I sort of vaguely know how to do it, and I've driven it a little bit, but the idea of abusing the vehicle by inexperienced drivers, guys who may have passed the course here, but they're not natural experienced drivers, so they're taking vehicles that have a certain level of wear and tear ability, but overstraining it, and it just doesn't work out well. So, but you already have those pre-existing, because what is it, 38, 39 that the shell plan is starting to be introduced, and so you have all the pre-production vehicles laying all over Germany that are going to be at one level or another used. And Von Schell is also looking at the wood gasifiers as well. They talk about that. And converting over some of the industry for that. But also what they do is they capture Polish vehicles. And I don't know if Poland produce vehicles or they just import them, but I know France produces vehicles. They capture French vehicles, and both military and civil. And if you look at there's some very nice photo essay books out there that have, a few hundred photos in them, wartime trucks, and you'll see lots and lots of captured vehicles from different parts of the world, including capturing Soviet trucks that have been, repainted, repurposed for German uses, including lots of buses, civilian buses and those types of vehicles as well. That so they're using this plethora of vehicles captured and otherwise, and they don't have a supply chain to maintain, French vehicles. Sure, if you are located in France and you have a division or a unit of some sort, could be a platoon, you get a hold of a French vehicle, you may be able to find locally through whatever supply sources spare parts for it, and whatever company may still be continuing to make some sort of spare part. But if your unit is then ordered east, at times we know they took the vehicles with them, because we can see photo evidence of them using. Sometimes these vehicles are very unauthorized in that the army has captured them. Well, or I should say a military army unit has captured them. Could be an infantry unit. Oh, well, we now have 2 trucks. Let's put on a German license plate and repaint them in German colors, and now we have 2 trucks. Otherwise, we don't have any trucks. Well, this unit then gets sent east. Well, they take their French vehicles with them. Other times we do know that they were operating here with, I know this a bit more with captured equipment, tanks and such, that they're sort of training up and operating French stuff that before actually being sent to the Eastern Front, they make a stop off and get re-equipped with German equipment. So that does happen, that sometimes they do leave French stuff, but we also know from photograph, Prinz Eugen, the SS Mountain Division, deploys with some French tanks. We also see up here some French tanks are photographed, pre-war, early war type tanks operating in the north here. So various units have captured French stuff. Sometimes it's very much local, as some infantry brigade, division, whatever, has 2 or 3 tanks that are sort of recorded within the division, but aren't necessarily told up the chain that they have these units, and these are just sort of, I don't want to overstate the covertness of it, but they're not officially assigned to the division, but they're using them. They use lots and lots and lots of those light Soviet tanks of various types that they take that way as well, to the point that at some point, I forget, I don't know, 43 or something, they order all of the tanks to have their turrets removed, and so that they're no longer used as combat vehicles, but as just munitions supply munitions carriers in the east. Partially because they're having Germans riding around in these under-armored, under-equipped early pre-war Soviet tanks and trying to use them as tanks, and they don't really like that. So you see, starting at some point, a lot of vehicles driving around without their turrets on, that they're just putting in ammo and other things and using them as armored battle taxis near the front. But there's lots and lots of that going on as well in the east. So I don't, 1,000 types of transport, I totally agree. And if you look at some late war stuff, either the counteroffensive down in Italy, or various, including the Battle of Bulge type stuff, Germans quickly impressing American vehicles, or even to some degree after the Kasserine Pact. So they need vehicles badly enough that they're taking American vehicles that are they're going to have no supply chain to support, and obviously they're capturing maybe locally, you know, the Battle of Kasserine, I don't know how many trucks they get their hands on that are drivable, but even just a few trucks are enough to mean, yeah, we're going to use them. That's how desperately Germany needs the motorization. And I take that as different compared to overrunning lots of units of British stuff in North Africa earlier on. They're doing these, or in Greece, taking out a bunch of, or even Dunkirk kind of things, taking over a bunch of British stuff, but even sort of the limited American stuff there. They got all this stuff from everywhere, and they're all trying to maintain it. And so once you get a truck, you don't want to get halfway to Moscow and then just give up on it. You want to try to keep it going. So it's just a supply chain headache that Germany just has, and it just never gets ahead of itself. It just starts the war way too early. The Von Schell plan is a very good plan, as I've talked about, would have meant major improvements for the Germany. One, he was definitely looking at getting, along with you know, things like the Volkswagen out there, getting this stuff to more motorize the society, but also to standardize production. So we can invest in the schools here, which will help train, which we're seeing that as supply organization and transportation gain, logistical warfare focus gain, help train up our drivers or not. We will do so. On that note, this episode has gone on more than long enough. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. I do appreciate that. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Love to see you around more often. And please post questions, comments, suggestions, ideas, corrections. Love it when you guys do that. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.